to get with Earle Sports Bets. Yeah, the twins, they be checking in, stacking up. Green is the scene that you're stepping in. Winning is a trend, and we stay making dollars. Nerd talk with the sports bet scholars. Yeah, it's R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies.
We are live. Welcome back to another edition of the Earle Sports Bet Show. My name is Nicholas Earle. Running just yours truly today. There's only 2 college football games, and then seeing that Tim is not here, we're going to talk the CFL. We got 2 CFL games here for Friday, October the 6th. As well, we got the Elks and the Argos. We have the Bombers and the Lions. We have a nice little slate here because we also have KSU, Oklahoma State, and Nebraska and Illinois. I have moved on the Nebraska-Illinois game. I did not move on this Kansas State game. We will get into that in just a minute. But before we get into today's games, before we get into today's slate, we're going to take a look back at what happened yesterday. One went right, one went wrong in the world of sports betting. And it was just one of those slightly losing days, one of those like annoying days. First half full game under and the Thursday night game. You're not going to win them all, but we're still hitting over 60% on those primetime unders this year. So it is what it is. Chicago and Washington first half full game unders. Losers, I believe it's now 19-11 or 21-11. I have to go back and look at the actual record for it. Still a really profitable record, but it is what it is. College football last night went 2-1, up 0.9 units. Sam Houston State plus 21 was a winner. Oh, that was so frustrating. They had the ball first and goal. It was 4th and goal at like the 3, and they couldn't punch it in to cash the plus 825. We were so close to hitting that big money line last night. Western Kentucky made that a little bit more interesting than I was hoping it was going to be. They get blanked in the second half and still hold on to the 5.5 cover. They were up 35-7 at halftime. The game finished 35-28. And Louisiana Tech had the ball with a chance to tie the game late there. So overall, went 2-3, up down 0.64 units overall. October's not been a good start for me. 18-29-1, down 9.02 units. Got a big day going tomorrow. Light day today, but we are invested in these CFL games, and we will be getting into those. We're going to kick it on off with college football, and then we're going to go to the CFL, but definitely more interested in Canadian football tonight than in college football. Morning. ESPN, good morning, my guys. Hit quad 4s. There you go. With the ace kicker, got paid 1.2 units off free play. There you go. 2-1, not bad. Western Kentucky, -6. Sam Houston. Plus 21. There you go. Lost the primetime under. Yep. Morning. Happy Friday. Thoughts on Nebraska with the points tonight? And do you like the over-under of 43.5? All right. I did not play the total. I am interested in the side in that game. We will get into that. That's the second game we'll go over for that one. I like Nebraska. Yeah, my friend caught the pick to secure us the win. There you go. Morning. But we will get into the college games here. We'll kick off with a game that I don't really have too much interest in. We have the Kansas State Wildcats and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. We have the Wildcats as 11.5-point favorites in this game with a total of 53. Let's get up we'll get up the line history for this game. And we will go over everything there. Football, college football. Line history for this one. K-State opened up at a -10. They're up to a -11.5 now, so 1.5-point line movement towards that over. Line opened up at a 55. It's down to a 53. So a movement towards the under and a movement towards the Wildcats. Let's take a look at the cash flow in this game here, as we have 80% of the tickets and 89% of the cash is on these Wildcats. The line's gone from a 10 to an 11.5, so that makes sense. 36% of the tickets, 68% of the cash is on the under. I actually really like that type of dichotomy when it comes to the way the line is moved with that total there. When you look at this team, these teams, Kansas State 3-1, 3-1 ATS, 3-1 over under. So they've gone over in 3 of their 4 games. The only one they didn't was when they shut out SEMO. Other than that, they've put up 45, 42, 27, and 44 points this year. It's been a pretty good offense for this K-State Wildcats team. On the flip side, can't really say the same for Oklahoma. They put up 27 last week against Iowa State, but put 7 up against South Alabama. They only put up 27 against Central Arkansas, 27 against ASU. They won that game, but this has not been a very impressive Oklahoma State team so far this season. My line for this one's an 11, so I don't see much. I think this line's moved correctly when it opened up at a 10 and it's gone to that 11.5 range. I think that's exactly where this line should be. So that made this game an easy pass for me. If I had to play a side or a total in this game, I would lean towards the under 53.5, 53 number there. I do think that we could see a Wildcats team kind of slow down this Cowboys offense. I'm not really sold on this Cowboys offense. They've been shuffling through quarterbacks all year. I think they've played 3 different quarterbacks so far. So I have really no interest in Oklahoma State. I really don't have any interest in laying all these points on the road here. So this end up going to be a stay off spot. Definitely not a game I'm looking to get involved with. I like the other college game better, which we will get into in just a minute. We'll head back to the chat. And yeah. And Kelly we trust. That would be who? And Chad Kelly? Were you talking Argos? I'm on the flip side on that one. We'll see. I am interested in the Wildcats. Yeah, my guess 32-17. I could see it. But we'll move on here to the game I'm more interested in. We have the Nebraska Cornhuskers heading on the road to Illinois to take on the Illini. Both these teams are 2-3 straight up, but the Cornhuskers are 2-3 ATS compared to Illinois 0-5 ATS to start the year. They won against Toledo by 2 as 7.5 point favorites. They lost and didn't cover to Kansas State. They lost and didn't cover to Penn State. They won but didn't cover as 16.5 point favorites against FAU. And then they got blown out by Purdue 44-19. And on the flip side here, we have a Nebraska team who played a Minnesota team tight. They covered, but lost as 7.5 point favorites. They got blown out by Colorado, but that was mainly just the second half when they just fell apart. They went and they beat up on NIU 35-11 as 12-point favorites. They won but didn't cover against La Tech as 20-point favorites. And then they gave the Michigan their first ATS cover last week. Let's take a look at the line history in this spot where we had the Cornhuskers opening up at 3.5. This did up to a 4.5 for a little bit, and it came right back down. It was actually a 3 at one point too, and now it's a 3.5. As for the total, it opened up at a 44.5, and it's come all the way down to a 42.5. So a move towards the under and a move towards these Huskers in this one here. Let's take a look at the cash flow in this game, where we do have 67% of the tickets, 59% of the cash is on Nebraska, 89% of tickets, 86% of the cash is on the under. So the line move towards the under makes sense. My projected line for this game was Illinois minus 1.5. I see value with the Cornhuskers in this spot. I took the Cornhuskers at 3.5. I also got them at a 140. If you want them now, let's see what you can get them at on Bet Online, the book that I use. You can get them at plus 138. So a slight move towards Nebraska since I bet them. And it's actually down to a 3 now on Nebraska. So shop around. I still think there's 3.5s available. I'm on the 3.5. I'm on the money line with the Huskers tonight. That's my only college football play. Argos. Fair. We'll get into that game next. Timmy. This is Nick. Timmy is we'll be back tomorrow. He didn't want to talk college football or CFL, which we will get into the CFL because we can. And tonight there's a couple fun matchups that I really do like, and we will get into it here. We have the who do you call it? We have the Toronto Argonauts and the Edmonton Elks in this matchup here. We have the Argos as 7.5-point favorites in this game with a total of 49.5 now. So this line has moved up a little bit here. And we have a team that is 4-11 on the road here, 6-9 ATS, 7-8 over under for Edmonton compared to going up against 12-2 Toronto, 10-4 ATS, 7-7 over under. Toronto has kind of slipped the last few weeks. They are 2-2 straight up the last couple weeks. Oh, no, that's Edmonton. That is Edmonton. But no, my bad. Toronto still has because they are 1-2 ATS their last 3 weeks. They did not cover against Winnipeg last week. Granted, they rested their starters last week against Winnipeg. Previous to that, they won and covered against Hamilton, and they won and did not cover against Montreal. On the flip side, we have Edmonton, who is 2-2 straight up. And depending on what you bet in those games, you either are 2-2 or 1-3. I got the money line for that one game against Calgary where they won but didn't cover the 2.5 number. I think I got their money line at 130 or 135. The Elks have been a different team since Trey Ford took over as quarterback and Jackson took over as the OC after their bye week in the 27-0 loss to the BC Lions. And I actually made a post on this one yesterday. This is not the same Elks team. Pre-Trey Ford, they were 0-8 straight up and 2-6 ATS. They averaged 230 passing yards a game and only 80 rushing yards a game. They scored 24-plus points in only 2 times. On the flip side, after the quarterback change, they're 4-3 straight up, 4-3 ATS. Depending on what you got, you could have gotten 5-2, depending on the line you bet, because that line moved a little bit for that Calgary game. Their passing yards went down to 215, but it went from 80 rushing yards per game to 201, and they've scored 27-plus points in all 7 games. The Elks team total over with Trey Ford has been the most consistent bet in the CFL the last couple months. And I am right back on it tonight. And this team is offensively has just been really good. Defensively, I have my questions. I do my questions with both these teams. The Elks, they're dealing with a bunch of injuries here on the defensive side of the football, which I think will lead to some weaknesses. And the Argos are going to get their points. And I truly believe the Elks will get theirs as well. I was shocked to see them offer 19.5 as the team total here for the Elks when they put up 24-plus in 7 straight games. And it's pretty simple. It's just people value the Toronto Argonauts. I'm not surprised at all by that. But to give me a 19.5 on the Elks team total, come on. So I took the team total over at 19.5. I'm on the first half over 24.5 in the full game over. I got that at 48.5. I would still advocate for anything less than 50. I think this is a back and forth game, and I think this game is closer than people think it's going to be. The Argos have already locked up the division in the Eastern Division, which is crazy to say. But I mean, there's only 3 weeks left, and they're 12-2, and the only team anywhere remotely close to them is the 8-7 Montreal Alouettes, which Toronto has beaten every single time, which means they have the tiebreaker against, which means even if Montreal won out, they wouldn't be, and Toronto lost out, they wouldn't be tied. They've already clinched and everything along those lines. So the question is, how much does Toronto care? Now, I get this is their, I believe, 150th anniversary night, and things along those lines. So I'm staying off the spread in this one. I'm also with a loss. Edmonton is eliminated. But I lean Edmonton in this game. I took the Edmonton team total over 19.5 on the first half, over 24.5, full game over 48.5 there. May ride with the Huskers. Yep. I know it's okay. Tim will be back tomorrow. But yeah. My initial is the Argos. I feel like the more complete team with Kelly. Do you think they cover the 6.5? Well, that's not the right question to ask. It's 7.5, and I think the Elks are very live to cover that number. Yo. Yep, Joe Krypton and I had the Bears last night. But we'll get into this matchup. I love this matchup here. This is for the Western Division right here, basically, because both these teams are both tied at 11-4 this year. They both split their 2 games in Winnipeg earlier in the year. Early in the year, in June, Winnipeg lost 30-6 against these BC Lions, and a couple weeks later, or a little over a month later, Winnipeg took out the revenge, winning 50-14. Wasn't particularly close. And looking at this spot here, we have a Winnipeg team who's kind of struggled a little bit as of late, but one thing they haven't struggled with is offense. They've put up 25 plus points in 8 of their last 10 games. The only games they failed to do it was in that 29-23 loss against Hamilton. And then they won 19-18 against Calgary. On the flip side, all of a sudden, this BC Lions defense, which was so good in the beginning of the season, has fallen apart. 26, 29, 37, 25, 30-34. They did allow up 9 against Calgary, and then 50 against this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team. Ever since the Bombers dropped 50 on them, it feels like the defenses have figured it out against this team. And I think this is going to be a fun game. I like the over in this spot. I got the over at 51. I got the first half over as well at 24.5. And I'm going to move on this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team total over here as well. And it's pretty simple. I like Kolaros in this offense. And the fact that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are dogs kind of surprises me here. I get it. It's in BC. I still think the Bombers are the better of the 2 teams. And I like Kolaros in the offense. And I think that this is a team that should and could go into BC and get the win. This is a Winnipeg team that I believe has dominated in BC. Now, the last 4 matchups have been in Winnipeg. But previous to that, the previous 4 matchups in BC, 3-1 to the Bombers. And I feel like that was with last year. I feel like that was with a better Lions team with Nathan Rourke. So it's Bombers or nothing. If I had to take a side in this game, I took the Bombers team total over 25.5. So I guess I am on the Bombers here. And I think this is a good Bombers spot to kind of not bounce back, but show up and look good. So I'm going to take a little bit of Bombers action here. Team total over in this game at 24. Nope, that's Toronto. Yeah, no. 25.5. No, it was 24.5. No, it's 25.5. Winnipeg team total over 25.5. I see something along the lines of 31-28 in this game. So I think this is a high-scoring, back-and-forth, fun matchup with the Western Division on the line. So give me a little bit of Blue Bombers action here against our Blue Bombers team total over, along with the first half and full game over in this one as well. That was good. I had the Bears first half. Also, there you go. It was hard for me to take the Bears. Last night. Yeah. German women's basketball has been popping off too. All right. Blue Bombers win. Go Blue. Yeah, I agree with that one there. And Jesse Schul in the house saying over. with that Winnipeg matchup. I love it. Love to hear it. And what is good, Markel. But that is all for today's slate. We went over the 2 college games. We went over the 2 CFL games. We will be back tomorrow with some baseball playoffs where we have the ALDS getting kicked off with the Orioles and the Orioles Rangers at 1 o'clock. Then we have the Twins and the Astros at 4. Phillies Braves is at 6. And Dodgers Diamondbacks is at 9. But until then, we'll do a quick little recap. And then we'll head on out for this one here. I'm on Nebraska plus 4.5 and +1 or plus 3.5, my bad, and plus 140 for college football, and that's all I'm on for college football today. I did not make a move on that Kansas State Oklahoma game. And for the CFL, we're rocking with the Elks team total over 19.5. We got the first half over 24.5, the full game over 48.5. And in the Bombers game, we have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers team total over 25.5, as well as the first half over 24.5, the full game over 51. We'll head over to the chat, and then we'll head on out here. Go Dodger Blue. Joe Kryptonite says, I'm going to bet the Blue Bombers money line. There you go. May tail the Bombers. There you go. But that is everything for today's slate. I want to thank you guys as always for watching. I'll be live in about an hour for the Bet Win Repeat show on Picks and Parleys, so check that out. But until then, we'll catch you tomorrow. Good luck, guys.